Alrighty, so I am back, continuing um, with my NFL division predictions. As you can see, I'm uploading them now. I filmed some of them before I went to school, and then I'm just doing these two before the season starts. So I haven't done NFC or AFC East and AFC AFC North, maybe. The one with the Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. I'm so sorry about my football knowledge, but I'm gonna be doing the AFC AFC East here. So I had Bills, Pats, Dolphins, Jets. I'm not gonna put the graphic up there, just because it takes a ton of time, and I don't have that right now since the season starts tomorrow. So basically, I had the Bills finishing first. One, because they have a really good defense and a pretty solid offense, great quarterback in Josh Allen. And two, like, I don't really know what to expect of the Patriots this year with Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to be good, but again, it's his rookie year. New team for them also, like pretty new team. A lot of new guys, a lot of new free agents, and I don't know how they're gonna gel together, and just I don't know. I think the Bills are just a better pick. Going through the Bills defense, obviously they've got on their defensive line they got Jerry Hughes, Ed Oliver. What's that guy's other name? Just Mario Addison's not that great. And then Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, great secondary. Levi Wallace is their other corner who I don't really know. And they got AJ Klein, who I believe was a first round pick. Milano is really good, Matt Milano, and then Trey Edmonds, who's also a first round pick. So their defense has really paid off. They've invested in it through the draft. They also got Epinesa as a pass rusher and Boogie Basham, I believe. Yeah, they have 3 second round pass rushers that don't start. So they got Basham, Epinesa, and Gregory Russo, which is, I mean, they're really loaded at the pass rushing position now to think of it. And then their offense, obviously they got Josh Allen, had a great year last year. I think he's a really good quarterback. It'd be nice to see another good consistent year from him, but he definitely went from good to elite last season, and part of that was because they got Stephon Diggs. I thought they gave up a lot for him, especially since Diggs didn't even want to play in Minnesota. He hated Kirk Cousins. I think that was why. They gave up a first and a third, but it still worked out. So good for them. Cole Beasley, great signing, and then they signed Emmanuel Sanders, so that's going to be another weapon for Allen. And then they always have a really solid offensive line: Darrell Williams, Deion Dawkins, Feliciano, Cody Ford. Just a good group that protects Allen well. Allen's also really good in the pocket, moving. He's just agile and stuff. He can avoid sacks, and he's hard to bring down. So overall, Bills looking great. Definitely my pick for finishing first in the division. Next up, we got my team, New England Pats. So I guess the one thing is you have to know about the Patriots. They're definitely a wild card contender. Maybe could win the division. They added so many NFL quality players to this team. And what I mean by that is they had a bunch of guys who were just kind of like waiver wire dudes. Like they had their tight ends were like Ryan Izzo and like Devin Asiasi, and they had at tackle they just had a bunch of like random guys. They didn't have any pass rushing. Just not, they were really missing depth, and they definitely replenished that this season. First, they got a quarterback with Mac Jones. Then running backs, you've got Damian Harris, James White, and J.J. Taylor. They got some wide receivers and Aguilar. I'm interested to see what Kendrick Bourne can do. I mean, I've heard a lot about him, and they paid him a good amount of money, so maybe he's good. And then they got, of course, Johnny Smith, Hunter Henry, to really replenish that tight end position. And then they got their offensive line back, which is probably the best part of their team last year. Had a pretty solid offensive line, and I think that'll continue to be the case. And then on defense, so they've got Matthew Judon, Dietrich Wise. They've got Godcho from the Dolphins. They've got Lawrence Guy from last year. And then they've got Gilmore. They've got J.C. Jackson, Jalen Mills, Sean Wade, and then Adrian Phillips from the Chargers, and Devin McCourty. Insane secondary. I mean, that's like one of the best in the NFL, probably if not the best, just because of the safeties. But I mean, Jackson and Gilmore, like that's probably the best combo in the league. And then linebackers, we're getting Hightower back, which is huge. He's an absolute beast. Happy to have him back, one of the best middle linebackers in the league. They got Van Noy back, which is insane. And they got Judon for pass rushing. So another really solid team. Overall, they're just really well-rounded. And I think this is going to be a pretty good team. And I think Mac Jones is pretty good. So really excited to see what they can do. And definitely a wild card contender. And for sure second in the division. Next up, we've got the Dolphins. So the Dolphins, as I predicted last year, I had a good prediction on the Dolphins. I said that, I mean, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL last year, and I mean the year before that. And then I said, you know, they got Byron Jones, Van Noy, Tua. They made their offensive line better, Eric Flowers. Added a bunch of guys that, like the Patriots did, just added some NFL quality players to their team that just made them better. And the Dolphins almost made the playoffs last year. I mean, they were pretty solid. They even exceeded my expectations. But this year, I don't like them very much. Going over their offense, so the main problem starts with the quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not a Tua fan at all. I don't think he's very good. He completed, I believe it was 6 passes over 25 yards last season, and 3 of them came against that game in Buffalo where they were, you know, that last game of the season where they lost like 40-14. So Tua really can't throw the ball downfield. He looks really uncomfortable in the pocket, really skittish. He just looks like he doesn't have a good arm either. Like he's not throwing the ball well. And just this pocket, he's just not a great pocket passer. And the mobility is also kind of not flattering. He's not a guy like, you know, Kyler Murray, where if you rush him, he'll just take off and run towards the sidelines and grab a few yards. Like, he's not really that athletic. You can't design, I mean, he's athletic, but like you can't really design runs with him. I know they're being careful also with him since he, you know, is hurt. I mean, he's just gotten hurt so many times, but not a huge fan of him. And people will say, well, you know, he didn't have very many wide receivers last year. I mean, okay, like Herbert really, no, I'm not going to use Herbert as an example, but Josh Allen, like, was producing when he didn't have great wide receivers, when he was a rookie. Lamar was good with crappy wide receivers. I mean, like, Mark Andrews was his best target. So, but I mean, still, like, they have Devontae Parker, Gesicki's okay. Preston Williams is, like, fine. They got Will Fuller, so that should help out, and Jalen Waddle. And then their running backs are Myles Gaskin, Malcolm Brown, and Salvin Ahmed from last year. So, okay, you know, okay, offense overall. I mean, decent, like, mediocre wide receivers, probably below average running backs. I mean, Myles Gaskin's not that great of a running back for a starter, but running backs are platooned these days, I guess. And then their line is a big concern. So their line, they traded away Eric Flowers to shed salary. I think he had a decent year last year. Redskins reacquired him. Their line is Austin Jackson, who was a first-round pick last year, but wasn't very good. Solomon Kindley, Michael Dieter, Robert Hunt, and Jesse Davis. Jesse Davis is a decent tackle, but the inside isn't great, and Austin Jackson isn't very good. So the last thing you need for Tua is to be pressured. And that's kind of a problem when you you have a terrible offensive line. So I think he's going to be pressured a lot, and it's not going to be very good. One bright spot on this team is their defense. They've got Ogba, Christian Wilkins, first rounder from Clemson, Landon Roberts from the Pats, Jerome Baker, who's been in the league for a while. And then their secondary is really good. They got Jason McCourty, Eric Rowe, Byron Jones, and Xavier Howard. I mean, that's another elite secondary. And then they've got Noah, the guy from Auburn, Noah Ngonagohe, however you say his name, first round pick from 2020. So they've got a good secondary, pretty good front seven, decent, probably above average. But the main reason I just don't like the Dolphins is because of Tua. I don't think he's very good, and they don't have Fitzpatrick this year, so they don't really have like a safety plan if he's not very good. I just think he's very one-dimensional, and he's easy to game plan against. If the Pats make him, like the Pats are playing him on Sunday, if they just make him throw the ball short, if they take away the short ball and kind of do press coverage, I'm like Tua is really going to struggle, and if they can defend against the run, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But yeah, not a huge fan of the Dolphins this year. In last place, we've got the Jets. I thought what the Jets did was really kind of weird. Like, obviously Darnold wasn't the fit, but it was kind of just like people were just like, yeah, like this guy Zach Wilson, like he's pretty good. Like the Jets just take him. And then a bunch of Jets fans were like, yeah, like, let's do that. And I think a lot of people didn't just stop and think and say, like, all right, well, how good exactly is Zach Wilson? Because a lot of, like, Mel Kiper and Todd McShay, all those mock draft guys all had Zach Wilson really high. But for me, I never really understood why. He doesn't have good size. I guess he can throw the deep ball well, but like he played at BYU and he's really small. So usually small quarterbacks don't throw the deep ball very well. So I don't know. That's kind of a concern for me. Also, they don't have that great of their line's okay, and I just don't know how well he'll be protected. But overall, I just don't think Zach Wilson's that good. I didn't see a ton of encouraging things from him at BYU. I just don't really know what does he do really well, and why is he going to be a special NFL player? I don't really know the answer to that question, and it's a reason why I think Mac Jones may have honestly already have higher value than Zach Wilson. I know that's a weird take, but I mean a strong take, but like I don't know. Like I just don't really know what Zach Wilson is. Like is he a pocket passer? Because if you want a pocket passer, then why don't you just take Mac Jones? He's clearly a better pocket passer than Zach Wilson. I like Fields better than Zach Wilson. I am just not a Zach Wilson fan, and I don't think he's going to be very good. Moving on, then, the Jets did improve their team. They got Keelan Cole from the Jaguars. They got Corey Davis from the Titans, who, had a good season last year. They got Tevin Coleman from the Falcons. They got Michael Carter in the draft. They got Aaliyah Vera Tucker. They traded up for him in the first round. And then they still got George Fant from the Seahawks and Mekhi Becton. So they honestly have a pretty good offensive line. And Greg Van Roten, he's a good guard. Their problem is their defense. They signed Carl Lawson for a lot of money, and he got injured in the preseason. Vinny Curry's out for the season, another addition. So their additions are Sheldon Rankins. Franklin Myers, I believe, is an addition. He's a pass rusher. But let's just take a look at the secondary. Their cornerbacks are Brandon Eccles, LaMarcus Joyner, who's been in the league for years, Marcus May, who's actually a beast, and then Bryce Hall. Mainly focusing on those corners, they're going to get absolutely torched this year. I mean, I don't know who Brandon Eccles and Bryce Hall are, or Javelin Guidry, yikes. They've got C.J. Mosley as a middle linebacker, which is good. He's a good middle linebacker, good captain for defense. But their other linebackers are Jamian Sherwood and Hamza Nasirildeen. They lost that guy who was like pretty solid. They had like a solid middle linebacker last year who made a lot of tackles, and I can't remember his name, and it's really annoying, but they lost him. And overall, I'm just not a huge fan of this Jets team. I don't think they're going to be very good. I don't think Zach Wilson is very good. Um, and I think they're not going to have a very good season. So, sorry to shed sad light on for Jets fans, but those are my opinions, man. So that's my NFC or AFC East predictions and the AFC North are to come after this. So thanks for watching.